right, today is Black History Month. I'm gonna give you a Black History moment. Right here, Frederick Douglass, Diary of a Slave. All right, right here. That's Frederick Douglass. That's Diary of a Slave. And that's Martin Luther King. All right. I'm gonna give you past history and tie it to the moments in today. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you the past moments and tie it in today. We're gonna give you Blackuary 365. We're not just gonna have Black History Month. We're gonna be black all year long. All right. When I came to Annapolis the other day, I wore my hood. I wore my hood to work. You feel me? Because I got work to do. And I represent the hood wherever I go. I represent the community. You feel me? I represent the ghetto, just like Martin. Only difference between me and Martin, I don't need 1 million people to march. I need 1 million people to pay attention. You feel me? So they're going to pay attention to this because it's Blackuary. Now, Johnny Ollszewski, you got emails, you got evidence, you have knowledge of criminal behavior in the office of Scott Shellenberger and the judiciary of Baltimore County courts, Baltimore City courts, the office of Frank Conway. All right. So we're going to cut to the chase on this. Black History Month, Black History Moment. You understand? Black History Month, Black History Moment, Black 365. We was brought here as property. We was brought here as slaves. Black people have never been free. We was brought here as property. We treated as property. Our kids was property and you invested in that as property. You traded slavery for the penitentiary, plantation for cotton, and we still the cash crop. Now, if you look at Dred Scott was a case in the Supreme Court. It was a meritorious case. It was a precedent-setting case. So I'm going my case off of Dred Scott, because Dred Scott was about slavery. He was a free man in one state and a slave in another. He was a free man in Missouri during the Missouri Compromise, but he was a slave in Illinois because Illinois was a state in the Union. You feel me? Learn your history, because he who knows his past can control his future. All right, I just know my history. I'm an educated man. I'm a high school dropout. I'm ignorantly intelligent. You feel me? So I'm giving you this Blackuary because this is where we're going with this. Dred Scott was the catalyst for the Civil War. It was about freeing the slaves. It was about freeing Black America, because that's all we was Black America. And when we got free, we learned how to write, read, and write. We learned how to break Jim Crow. So they had to write more laws to incarcerate us. You feel me? We didn't own property. We were loitering. We were stealing. We was looking at white people. That's when Jim Crow laws came back to re-enslave the Black community. All right? Because we were senators and congressmen, and we outnumbered white people. So we used their rules in the Senate and the Congress, and we were outnumbered them per capita. That's when 3/5 of a man was in there. I'm 5'3". I ain't 3/5 of a man. I'm an irrational fraction. Like I said, I'm ignorantly intelligent. And you're going to learn something today. Dred Scott was a catalyst for the Civil War. It was about the North and the South. It was about the Industrial Revolution versus the cotton and the plantation. You feel me? We just heard that we exchanged our labor force and our labor pool and our worth. All right? And America's work, being Black in America, your worth to America is your labor. It's your labor in your body. That's your labor. That's your worth. All right? Now, from 1857, we're going to fast forward to, say, 1920s, when Jim Crow was in effect real hard, when they was lynching. Birth of a Nation was debuted at the White House. One of the Supreme Court justices was a card-carrying member of the Ku Klux Klan. You feel me? We're going to talk about D.C. Stevenson, the governor of the state of Indiana, which was the grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. And D.C. Stevenson raped this immigrant lady, because we're talking about immigration law. D.C. Stevenson raped an immigrant. And when he raped the immigrant, he raped her on a train. And the train went across Illinois state lines, which made it a federal offense. And on the immigrant's deathbed, she wrote that D.C. Stevenson murdered and killed and raped her. So he charged with murder, just like Donald Trump. You feel me? Just giving you a little history lesson here about raping and murdering the Me Too movement. You feel me? About being Black in America versus being white in America, because an immigrant, not a slave, an immigrant was raped and she got charges against the government, but you was raping black people forever since you brung us here. Dred Scott, do blacks have rights in what white America respects? That's the key issue here. This is a social scientific experiment. I'm just a lab rat. You feel me? I'm black all year round, black all my life. I ain't just black during the month of February. You feel me? Now, Dred Scott was a case heard in the Supreme Court, and the court ruled that blacks have no rights in America. And even though that rule has been struck down or is not really applicable, it still exists because blacks have no rights in America. We locked up and incarcerated on the war on drugs, and the war on drugs was stated in the 13th Amendment in the movie The New Face of Old Jim Crow that the war on drugs was created to incarcerate the black community. And nobody did nothing to stop it. We traded the penitentiary for the plantation, cotton for cocaine, and we steal the cash crop. That's what black is. Now you got Marilyn Mosby talking about, oh, she's not going to prosecute weed offenders. Because if she prosecute weed offenders, she's going to have to prosecute white people. It ain't because she liked the black community. It's because she protecting her white constituents. You got these opioid laws coming through, and you got these other laws coming through. So she got to set the path to give it a pass for the white community, but you're going to still lock up the black community. The police commissioner already said that he going to go lock up anybody that got weed, but that police commissioner ain't never going in the white community locking up white people. His target market is the black community. And that's why you steal the cash crop. The war on drugs is an illegal war on the black community. And if Martin Luther King was here, he wouldn't accept that. He wouldn't accept that. So like I said, Johnny Ollszewski, this Black History Month. I'm supposed to be leaving the table and the TV at your whatchamacallit, but I ain't gonna take them chances because I got other things to do this weekend. So what I'm gonna do is shoot live videos off my computer. To dismantle a master's house, you gotta use the master's tools. To use his tools, he uses Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. He uses social media. It don't get no sweeter. And dog, I'm a social media presence. I'm a presence wherever I go. And I don't run with no crew or no posse. I got a handful of people I fuck with. And they know who they is. And when I need them, I call them and they there. You feel me? Fast forward. Dred Scott. Frederick Douglass. You feel me? Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey led a movement that was going to take black out of America, but you don't want to take black out of America because you needed black people to work your plantations. You needed black people to work your farms, sharecropping. You needed them to work your factories for your industrial revolution because you couldn't let black leave America. Black been America for 400 years. For 400 years, we've been here. We've been treated as property. We've been treated ill. You murder, you kill us, you rape us, and you don't do nothing about it to protect us. But you elected to do this. You know what I'm saying? You call this a democracy. You got Donald Trump in office and you talking about making America great again? Well, if you're making America great again, you got to address America's hate again. You got to address racism in America because that's what made America great. To acknowledge that you were racist. You fought a war about it. So now you created this war on drugs and it's a war on the black community. You write more laws to incarcerate more black people because you need them for slave labor. Blackuary, we're going to change that. Way down in Egypt land, tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. Yeah, we're going to give you some old Negro spirituals. And we're going to talk about being black in America 2019 ain't no different than being black in America in 1857. We're going to see if the laws work for black America or is it going to continue to incarcerate black America. We're talking about social justice and social justice ills. Because on February the 6th, 2011, I put a toilet. I put a toilet in front of the Towson courthouse. It was about Governor O'Malley and the prison industry. It was about Scott Shellenberger. It was about zero tolerance and stop and frisk. It was about the illegal war on drugs. That's all that toilet was about. It was also classified as artwork and evidence, which is covered under the Constitution under the First Amendment. You violated my First Amendment rights of freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and freedom to address issues that affect me as a black man in America. You feel me? Even though I'm a high school dropout, I got a GED. I got a PhD in sociology, just in the life that I live. You understand? I'm homeless in America. I'm working homeless. I got to pay my bills as I live. You feel me? I got to get it how I live it. I'm still slave to your economic deprivation. You feel me? I'm slave to your poverty. Your war on drugs creates collateral damage. You feel me? And that's what I was doing, making a movie about you because of the collateral damage. Lights, camera, action. Hollywood production. Baltimore, Rewired. We're going to talk about the war on drugs, and we're going to talk about the war in the black community. And we're going to show the faces that got this going on. Now, you used to say what you want to say. You can do what you want to do. But I told you when I started this, you'd rather walk through hell with gasoline drawers on than fuck with Shorty. Well, dog, I got the gas and the drawers, and I'm going to put them on you. I'm going to put that law on you. And I'm going to take you to court like you took me to court. You seen me in Annapolis when I came down there. I left y'all shook. When I walked in the room, man, y'all was scattering like roaches when the lights come on. When I put that camera in your face, you didn't want to talk to me or look at me. Quasi Mfumi broke and ran. He didn't even want to acknowledge I was in the room. But we're going to talk about the role the NAACP play in this too. Because we got black faces selling out black people with a smile on their face. We're going to talk about the war on drugs. We're going to talk about the war on the black community and the disenfranchisement of our community. You don't involve us in no growth and no development. No black businesses in the Inner Harbor, Fells Point, or Canton. But we're filling up your jails every day. It is your problem. You got laws you're getting ready to write in Annapolis in the 2019 session. That's why I'm making a movie about y'all. 2019 session, we're making a movie about the 2019 sessions. We're talking about race and racism in the 2019 session. We're talking about the jury, the grand jury, and accessing the courts in 2019 session. We're going to show you about being black in America. We're going to show you about Dred Scott. We're going to talk about Tawanda Jones. We're going to talk about Anthony Anderson. We're going to talk about Marcella Holloman. We're going to talk about all the cases that show racism in your courts and the denial of accessing your courts. We're going to show you how the judges work with the politicians and the police to keep black America incarcerated. I'm going to show you the cases, and we're just going to do what we do. I've been shooting this movie for 13 years. I went to jail in Illinois for 186 days, and I went to jail in Maryland for 86 days. I won my case in Maryland. Never had a trial in Illinois. That's where Dred Scott come in. I'm a free man in one state and a slave in another. Because I wrote Chief Justice Roberts when I started this and told him what I was going to do. And if you contact Johnny Ollszewski, Judge Turnbull, the Baltimore County Government, Julian Jones, Judge Cox, and Governor Hogan, they got a writ of certiorari. And a writ of certiorari means that you take my case directly to the Supreme Court, just like Dred Scott. It's going to be a learning and educational moment. We're going to put corruption and racism on the courts on display, just like Dred Scott. Am I a free man or am I a black man? Because you locked me up. You kidnapped me. You kidnapped me from my place of residence and charged me with terrorism. That don't fly. I was found innocent of all charges. At the conclusion of a trial, all property and evidence is supposed to be returned. You took my property and sold it. That's like Dred Scott. I have no rights. You never compensated me for my losses. This has been 13 years. I'm out $2.6 million, baby. I'm not walking away from that. You owe me. I don't need 1 million people to march. I need 1 million people to pay attention. Book, movie, lawsuit. I got a criminal case in Baltimore County, been sitting on the books for a year. You refuse to prosecute the case. That's denial of due process and equal protections. Covered under the Constitution. Freedom of speech. Al Redmer has an insurance claim against the insurance company. You can't sign my checks. You can't do nothing to me while I was locked up in another state. That's called vulnerable individual law. You feel me? I was making a movie about the Democratic Party and Governor O'Malley's mob machine. Governor O'Malley approved the movie and approved the program in 2006. Don't get mad because I didn't tell you what the shit was about. I told you I was going to do it. I didn't tell you how I was going to get it done. So I got 13 movies, 13 different books, 13 different ways of getting you 13 things explaining this. One of the movies was about the activism. One movie is about activism in the community and the activists in the community. We don't need another Martin, another Malcolm, because all of us can be a Martin. All of us can be a Malcolm. All we got to do is just stand in our lanes and play the positions that we play. You feel me? I'm good at what I do. I'm an organizer. I'm a rebel rouser. I'm a person that gets shit done. Because I went to court. I proved your corruption. I proved your racism. I pulled your card. I go that hard. I didn't ask nobody to go to jail with me. I didn't come here with nobody. I ain't gonna leave here with nobody. When I leave this earth, I'm gonna leave by myself. Whether I go to heaven or whether I go to hell. But while I'm there, before I get there, I'm gonna give you hell on earth. Just like the Civil War, I'm gonna give you Sherman's March to the Sea. I'm giving you a scorched earth policy. I'm gonna burn up your courts. I'm gonna burn up your judicial system, and I'm gonna expose your corruption and your racism. And I'm gonna dare you to call it out. You can lock me up anytime you want to lock me up, but locking me up means that you got to give me a trial. Giving me a trial, it means I have an option of a jury or a judge. Dog, I'm picking a jury of 12. I'm gonna play the odds and the percentage. I'm gonna actually show you that you can't beat me. You can't beat me in the court. You can't beat me in the streets because I ain't never broke the law. The law broke the law, and I'm gonna expose the lawless. If you had anything with me locking up in 2011, I want Shellenberger job. I want him disbarred for filing false information with the grand jury. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Shellenberger has a personal vendetta against me because he can't stand black people in Baltimore County. So when I see Shellenberger down in Annapolis, he better man up because I'm going to stand up. When I see Shellenberger in Annapolis, I'm going to be like Frederick Douglass. I'm going to be like E.D. Du Bois. I'm going to be like Benjamin Banneker. I'm going to be like Martin and Malcolm, but I'm going to give you Thurgood Marshall because I'm going to beat you in the courts, and I'm going to take Shellenberger to court. I'm going to parade Shellenberger in the courts like you paraded me for terrorism. I'm going to parade him for racism. That's the new face of old Jim Crow, and I'm going to stand by that. And when I see Mosby, sticking you too, boo. Nobody getting no pass in 2019. It's Black-uary all year long. I wear my hoodie to work. When I ran for office in 2014, I wore my hoodie to work because I represent my hood. It's the good in the hood, wherever I go. So when you hear me down in Annapolis, mic check! You know what I want? I want your job. I want your futures. I want your access to your courts. I want your 401k. I want everything you took from me, I'm going to take from you. We're going to trade places. If I can go to jail for a toilet, you can go to jail for lying to the grand jury. You can go to jail for abuses of power of your office. You can go to jail for prosecutorial discretion abuses. You can go to jail for using your office for political gains and means. You feel me? Racketeering and profiteering off of black community. Like I said, we putting black on trial in 2019 session, and then we're taking it to the Supreme Court because it's a meritorious case. We're going to set a precedence. Black-uary, 365. Do your research. Google me. I'm the only man that turning guns and drugs to the police. So this is about the war on drugs. This directly affects the war on drugs. Marijuana, cocaine versus opioids and prescription medications. Yeah, it's that good. It's all about the hood. See you Monday. Matter of fact, see you soon. I'm gonna light up the light. Remember that? Let the midnight special. Yeah, this is gonna be a midnight special. I'm gonna be like Mr. Hinky in the Christmas turd. I'm gonna be like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood when Eddie Murphy was on Saturday Night Live. Shh. Be quiet, boys and girls.